Yeah, our guy who was going to do the cold open just
Oh boy,
disappeared.
he just
Okay.
disappeared off the screen.
All right.
No cold
Well,
open.
that kind of day with tech issues or noise issues at the library. Isabel went to the library, and it's louder there than anywhere else, really. So that's surprising. I'm at my house. Doug's at his house, and Matt Tolman, I think, is back home, and he was here too, but now he's lost. So we'll just get started, and he can give us whatever he was going to give us later. Hey, there he is. Okay.
We did it.
He's
We're
it.
back.
We're back.
All right.
And we're
Is
live.
that the
So
cold
welcome
open?
back,
Like to
Matt.
see what we would say when you were gone?
I wish. Hey, it's live, and so we're warming it up. Dale just joined. Hey, Dale. So you need to burn off like the first 30 seconds before people join.
Yeah,
No,
that is
actually,
true.
I was watching that clip on YouTube that I just shared with you guys, and I clicked the exit, and apparently it exited this tab. So sorry about that. Here's the real cold open. Matt, we're talking about the least that you need to do to stay healthy. And you texted me the other day saying, I'm pretty sure I got sick because I used the mouth tape again. And
Yes.
that is what happened to me. And why are you taping your mouth? We've gone through this multiple times.
Yeah.
You have bad dreams. You wake up in the night. You get sick. I think we're against mouth tape. So tell us your story.
I don't have bad dreams with mouth tape. I put it on because I sleep horribly, and recently especially horribly, and I was just trying to fix it. I noticed I was always waking up with a completely dry mouth, and I said, I'm going to at least do this. That'll make me keep my mouth shut. It'll stay wet and good. It hasn't fixed anything, but anyway. But then I got sick like 3 days after, and then I recalled that you had said you think you got sick from doing that or shortly after. So we don't have any real causation here, but we do have seeming correlation. So I don't know.
Wait,
That's
is it because you're reusing the mouth tape and you were sick and now you're putting it back on? Like,
No,
I
I
don't
was
Just
about-
understand.
breathing everything through your nose.
I was about to clarify. I don't think we got sick because of the tape. We got sick because of some sort of viral or bacterial infection, a cold, if you will. But my theory is that you sleep in such a terrible way because you're waking up throughout the night, or I did, because you can't breathe out of your mouth, that it runs down your immune system such that it makes you susceptible for sickness.
The thing
So
is,
the
I
mouth
already
tape is
was
making you
sleeping
sleep
so
worse, and therefore you're getting sick.
It's
That's exactly
possible.
right.
Yeah.
I think is the opposite of the point of the mouth tape.
Well, there's something
That's
supposedly
true.
about nose breathing that is higher quality, or you get like better oxygen somehow. I don't know how that
More
works
filtration,
at all,
right?
but like maybe
filtration.
bypassing a little bit of the the first resistance against sickness. I don't know. It's getting deeper in your system. But anyway, so who knows if it works or not? It is maybe a lesson though. Like we're talking today about kind of, I don't know if simple health hacks is the right phrase here, but it could be. But basically, how do you not get sick and how do you stay healthy long term? They're generally the same things. The things that keep you healthy in the long term are also the things that keep you healthy in the short term, I think. But one of the things I was going to say is like, I don't think you should overdo it. Like, I don't think you should go crazy with anything. The remedies, the things that are supposed to prevent illness. Like, I think generally if you just sort of keep it low key and you kind of keep doing what you're doing, that's generally the better way to not get sick. So mouth taping, an example of maybe going a little, flying too close to the sun kind of deal. You're tempting fate. You're messing with stuff, messing with nature. So maybe that's the cause.
I don't know about that.
It's a sketch.
I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say that mouth tape has nothing to do with you guys getting sick. You got sick because you were exposed to a virus and your body, let that virus flourish and then you got sick.
Maybe.
But the whole point of immune system is so core to sleeping. I fundamentally believe, and I have often checked, or I should say, I've often had the thought that like I'm exhausted, I'm run down, like I've got a lot of stress, I'm not sleeping, and then like a few days of that, like we're constantly exposed to pathogens, right? Constantly. Sure. Our bodies are just really, really good at fighting them off until they're not. And so if you wreck your sleep with mouth tape for a few nights, right? Like, it's
that's true. If you're wrecking
that's true.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're talking here about the least you need to do in order to stay healthy. short term, long term. I think sleep is probably the number one thing. Maybe we can all agree on, or at least it's in the top 3 of things you can do, and that is definitely get an appropriate amount of sleep and prioritize sleep, especially if you're starting to come down with something, which I am. There's going through my house right now, having to prioritize sleep a little bit so that
Me too.
you can fight it off.
We got one too. Or I would say rest in general. Sleep, yes, is very important, but also like knowing your body's limits, and like maybe I shouldn't go out on a really long run this weekend if I'm not feeling great, because that'll run my body down more than resting in general. So
Yeah, I think sensing and being aware, and maybe this is where technology can help you, like with the Aura Ring stuff that will tell you really before you would otherwise notice that your body temperature is higher, or your heart rate was elevated. Like that stuff I don't detect on my own, but the Aura Ring will tell me when I'm wearing it. And I guess if that were happening and you see that, like that would be a sign, don't do a long run or don't do whatever it was you're going to do, or try to get to bed earlier. Maybe don't drink as much alcohol as you might otherwise, or any. So I think that's a good strategy. I don't really know. Like I don't have experience of like saying, hey, I'm seeing that this is a warning sign and now I'm going to take it easy. And now in hindsight, I didn't get sick from that. I don't really know if it's effective. Like maybe it's too late by the time your heart rate is elevated and your temperature's elevated.
yeah.
But I don't know about the
maybe-
sleep thing. Like sleep sounds like it'd be really important. I'm the worst sleeper I know, and I very rarely get sick. I mean, I know I did last week, but it's like not often at all. So I'm hesitant to put sleep in there as the super important immunity thing.
But how much of it's psychosomatic? So we should go around the horn, and I'd love to hear what each of you think is the least you need to do to stay healthy. But I'll before we get there, I am curious to hear, because like I think so much of it is psychosomatic. Like if you wake up and like when my kids get sick, I immediately think I'm gonna get sick, and the next morning I feel something in my throat, and then like the day after that I'm sick, right? Adriana, my wife, doesn't ever get sick. She like doesn't believe in getting sick. She's like she won't talk about getting sick. Like she gets sniffly or like congested or whatever. I'm like, are you feeling okay? She's like, I'm fine. She will not recognize it. And I think as a result, like the whole household can be sick, and she's like totally fine. Mom immunity maybe is an entirely different subject. I think that's real. Fun fact, I learned that there's actually something in a baby's saliva when they're breastfeeding that is then absorbed through into mom, and there's a reaction that actually gets mom to create antibodies to give back to the baby. Nature is wild. So cool.
That's so cool. Yeah.
It's psychosomatic. Anyway, someone else can pick up on any of that stuff, or we can go around the horn.
I think what you're talking about though is like the mind-body connection, and I do, as a little bit of a hippie, I do think like there is some power to that. I don't know. I mean, you can't like fight a virus. I think. Well, I don't know. Somebody else might challenge me, but you can't fight a virus necessarily with your mind power. But if I sit here and say like I'm fine, I feel fine, I'm not going to be sick, like I can see that having a little bit of an impact if it. I would say probably depending on the state and depending on what kind of sickness I have. I can see Doug just completely disagreeing.
But how's that not fighting a virus? Isn't that exactly what fighting a virus is
I don't know. I think there's something to it. I agree with your wife, Matt, that there's something to it.
All right. Well, before Doug weighs in, I'm gonna jump on the bandwagon here. I also agree with this. I feel like when I stopped getting sick was when I just for whatever reason decided like I think this stuff's all in your head. I think it was probably 20 years ago, and I said I'm not going to be afraid of being around sick people when my wife is sick. Like she's always careful to like not kiss on the lips or whatever. And I said, I'm just going to do this because I think there are a lot of doctors around sick people and they don't get sick. So I think if you just tell yourself you're not going to and you really believe it, I think you're not going to get sick a lot. So I'm on board.
Hold on. This is going to be fun. New topic. We're spending the entire rest of the day talking about Matt Frazier and the fact that we just went through a podcast where like you don't believe in the placebo effect. You don't believe in homeopathic. That doesn't exist. And yet here you are fending off viruses with your mind. Help me square those two things, because that sure sounds like a homeopathic placebo mind over matter kind of approach.
Okay. It's not homeopathic. Homeopathic is a special different thing. It had to do with the water, right? Water and it some strange thing. Like, look it up. There's like a definition of how they
structured
make
crystalline waters.
that's yeah. It's just it's I don't.
I made that
understand it all,
up.
but I mean, it's something like that. I don't understand what it is. But I believe in the placebo effect. I think it's very real, very powerful, amazing effect that our bodies can do this stuff. I don't think it would be right for doctors to make use of that and tell us what they know to be a lie because they think that's going to be the most curative thing they can do to you. I think that causes a lot of other problems. Not one of them is that one non-problem is that it helps the patient get better, but there are a lot of other issues that arise when that happens.
But do you think if it's not a doctor and it's just you, as you are doing in your own placebo?
Yeah. Like,
right?
remember, I think I did in that same episode say, I think it's good to, believe things that serve you, not necessarily the things that are the most true. And perhaps that is very much that. I don't know, when it's done on your own, I think you avoid some of these issues that arise when a doctor's doing it. That should be the whole topic, a placebo effect episode when we're prepared. And do some research.
Add to the list. By the way, I'm the same way. This winter, knock on wood, this winter has been a radically different level of health for me. I feel like since I had kids, I have been sick the entire winters, every single winter, the entire winter. It's just like, it's not whether or not you get sick, it's whether or not you get healthy for longer than 3 days before the next sickness hits. Yeah. It's even worse where Isabel is with maybe it's because my kids are getting older, but there's more of them and there's more licking,
so much snot just everywhere.
Yeah, just
everywhere.
The things they put in their mouth, but I really do actually believe that part of it is because I am doing this cold plunge, pretty regularly. I'm meditating really regularly. I mean, daily. I feel I also don't drink anymore, so I don't know if those individual behaviors have improved my immune system or if it's because in my mind I'm I got everything dialed in. I'm not going to get sick. I have an incredible immune system now, but one way or the other, whatever the cause being, I have been, knock on wood, super healthy even through a lot of sicknesses. Maybe it's the drinking. I don't know.
I mean, I think when you give an assault on your body with drinking or running an ultramarathon or something like that, it's going to much more likely get you sick. Anyway, Doug, I want to hear from you, Mr. Wizard. I'm going to rain on all of our parade here. Be the scientist guy who says this is crazy.
Well, I'm not going to quote any science here, but I think you're all crazy.
Wait, in which direction?
I knew it was coming.
Look, so I definitely believe that in the power of positive thinking, for sure, and that if you're dwelling on a back pain, then it's going to hurt more and last longer than if you are, thinking, trying to move past it and feeling confident you can. And that goes with sickness too. And especially people who are dying, they die a lot quicker oftentimes if they believe that they're going to die versus believe that they're going to live and fight it and move past it. And at least that's the stories that you hear. Whether there's any science behind that, I have no idea. But those are the stories you hear. But I think that saying that, I don't get sick and therefore you don't get sick is total crap. My kids aren't going around saying, "Oh, I'm going to get sick today." They just happen to get sick all the time because they're around viruses all the time at school, right? And then they bring that into the house and they sneeze and slobber over everything, and then we get sick. Thankfully, I have a stronger immune system than they do. I've been exposed to 30 plus more years than they have, and so I don't always get sick or as sick as they do. I think that's just what's happening. I think that Matt Frazier, your kids. Only one of them goes to school now. The other one is homeschooled. You have less viruses coming into your house. You're spending a lot more time outside probably because of soccer and everything else. I think MT, if you're taking care of your immune system by not drinking and cold plunges and everything else, then you probably have a stronger immune system and you're fighting it. I think that just saying that you're not getting sick is not impacting whether you're getting sick or not. That's my take.
Says the guy who's sick.
The guy who's coming down with something. Yeah.
Let's just. I'm just. Maybe you should.
The sickest
That's all I'm
years.
saying. Maybe
the sickest I've been in years
it.
was the flu a little while ago in November after my ultra, and I was 100% convinced that I was not going to get it. I was convinced that I didn't have it, that I was just recovering from my race. And I was knocked out for the next like 5 days. I mean, worse sick, 105 temperature for 48 hours straight, like even with medication. Bad news.
I think we should try it though, Doug. Let's do an experiment. I feel like I'm getting sick too. I'll put the power into my brain and you just like let it be and we'll see what happens.
Well, hey, I got some. I'm going away this weekend by myself. I do not want to be sick. Like I'm ignoring the fact that I've got sniffles coming on and that my daughter stayed home today.
See, there you go. You're doing it.
I was gonna say, yeah, you're already ignoring it.
Where are you going alone? The side? And by the way, just because not all mind power is the same, right? Maybe you just have to hone in your ability. But where are you going this weekend? Alone?
I'm going out to a little cabin in the woods. Have a little Doug time.
Awesome. Yeah.
I love that.
Good for you, man. I've been thinking about that. I love that journey for you.
Thank you.
All right. The least things that you have to do, the least you need to do to stay healthy. Who wants to start? Now that we were warmed up.
All right.
I'll go.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think if you can go in the cabin in the woods like Doug, eat a dinner salad, so long as you are covering your bases, kind of Michael Singer level of very little nutrition. You expose yourself to no one, right? So therefore no pathogens. You're fasting, probably 16 to 20 hours per day. You go for light walks, you get sun, and you get a ton of sleep. You're a hermit, but that is, I think, by definition, I'm trying to answer
the least
you need to do to stay healthy. You could literally go into something just shy of an induced coma, living alone, eating almost nothing, sleeping a ton, getting your sunshine, and getting a basic amount of exercise. That's the least amount of activity required, and you'd probably stay very, very healthy for a long time.
You know how in Office Space the guy misinterprets the quiz about if you had $1 million, what would you do? And that's how you decide what you're going to do. You sort of misinterpreted the least you need to do to stay healthy thing. It was if you don't have a lot of time to do anything radical, what's some simple things you could do to stay healthy? Not uproot your life.
You just sit in your bedroom, never see anyone, never talk to anyone.
It's the least you can do. The least.
All right.
I think I nailed it.
You did. There were a lot of really good points, and I think each of those maybe individually can be the least that you can do. Eating a wholesome.
Sometimes you have to ask yourself, what is the opposite of the answer, right? And so it's like going and breaking down your muscle tissue with like a CrossFit every single day, and then having to eat high protein, which we know is inversely correlated to longevity at certain levels, right? Like those are the maximizing things. You have to do a lot of things. Like, can you be healthy and happy and active? Like, yeah, that's kind of actually the path I'm taking. However, if you ask yourself what is the least you can do, the least energy expenditure, the least number of toxins that you're putting into your body, the least amount of stress, the most sleep, that is the answer, quantitatively.
Okay, right, so I'm going to take a slightly different approach.
Okay.
But I do like the idea of flipping it. And instead of what do you need to do, I would say maybe what you shouldn't do. And that's really just anything that's totally destructive to your body. So like eating a lot of junk food, sitting on the couch for, every single day, every hour, drinking too much alcohol, not getting any sleep, that kind of stuff. So I think the least you can do to stay healthy is the inverse of that, which would be like eat a fairly balanced diet. A little junk food's not a problem, but a fairly balanced diet, get decent sleep, don't drink too much, move your body a little bit, but not too much. That kind of thing. How does that?
Yeah,
how does that resonate?
I think the not too much is very important. I think you do too much of any of this stuff, and I think you're asking for trouble. So, yeah. I think, I don't know. For me, I think also around the time, this is totally anecdotal, but I think that when I sort of stopped getting sick was when I started eating really well. So I tend to think that's probably the most important thing. And
I thought it was the mind. I thought it was the mind. Man, it can't be both.
it could be
It's
both.
it's
It came,
it's
He wanted to.
self-reinforcing.
Yeah.
exactly.
When he eats,
Self-reinforcing.
he has a mantra of immunity. When every spoonful.
There was, I think it was a couple of morning shows ago, or a couple of weeks ago. Everybody in Matt's house was sick, and he blamed it on the fact that they ate pretzels.
Yeah, and I wasn't, because it could have been they ate pretzels and I didn't.
The guy who doesn't believe in
It's definitely
placebo effects.
It's definitely
Yeah.
Well,
Pretzels carry
Placebos
the
and
virus.
pretzels. It's actually the new name of our book, Placebos and Pretzels.
mhm, exactly right.
By the way, I actually believe in that more than anything, and then I'll let you go back, Matt. But I have thought that I'm getting sick, and I've literally eaten like mounds of ginger, raw garlic. Adriana hates that. I mean, just 7 or 8, pieces of fruit to get just a ton of vitamin C. Right? Like I'll go do the extra vitamin D, right? Like I just get overly nutritionalized, and there's a lot of placebo in that, but it works, I think.
I think this is evidence for the mind thing. I think if you think you're doing the right thing, a lot of times you are, because I do kind of the opposite of that with nutrition. I think I try to give my body a break from things, like when I'm starting to come down with stuff. I'll just generally feel okay skipping meals and say it's probably a sort of a fasting thing, and I'm okay with this. Definitely not going to eat a whole mound of ginger and garlic and do all these things that are unnatural and atypical. I don't rush to the medicine cabinet and start popping all the stuff, because I don't really think getting sick is like a deficiency in elderberry or whatever. I mean, those things might help with prevention, but I don't know. And to be honest, I do sometimes, when I start feeling myself coming down, I'll take the immunity pills that we have or whatever. But in general, I'm not thinking like I need to give myself more. It's usually I need to give myself less. And so I just sort of do less things, eat less things. But I think that, I think a healthy diet to begin with is the kind of fundamental important part. But I don't know about exercise. I don't know if I've seen a whole lot about exercise and short-term immunity. I have to imagine it's really important. Actually, I've heard that training in general is a good thing for immunity. But once the effort gets too high, race day effort, or even the ramp up to that, you can actually put your immunity into the negative by doing too much. So I mean, these are kind of boring things, but it's what I do to not get sick.
So before Isabel goes, I do want to harp a little bit on the like taking the elderberry or those like an emergency, any of these kind of products that are fairly common now, and a lot of people swear by them. If you're starting to feel sick, or if someone around you is sick and you're doing those things, like, do you guys see any value in that stuff? It seems like Tolman, maybe not emergency, but those types of ginger, garlic, raw garlic, that kind of stuff. I think you take elderberry, which I do as well I did during the fall. Do you think there's value in that?
And now you're sick.
That's
just
right.
to call it out. By the way, I listed all whole foods with the exception of vitamin D. And if I didn't live in Colorado and I was getting sick, I would take off my shirt and I would go out in the sun as much as possible to get that vitamin D. I got the vitamin C from, citrus fruits or apples, whatever it is, like raw garlic, ginger, that stuff I put straight into the blender. Right. So I'm not pushing, like I'm actually with you. Like I don't take 8,000 milligrams of vitamin C in capsule form like I used to, like in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it is a whole food thing. And by the way, on Matt's point, I actually agree with you. I think the best thing you can do to fight off most illnesses is to let your body get back to homeostasis. And I am particularly careful to like skip dinner and like let my body go to sleep and get like really great restorative sleep where it's not like processing and digesting food. That really helps me too. Also, shout out to Dale for the Seinfeld reference. I don't know if anyone else saw that in the he had a very subtle Seinfeld reference.
Yes,
so
the pretzels
good-
make me
good-
thirsty.
good eye.
She's done that before in the morning
Yeah.
show. I think I usually ignore it, but I do appreciate it.
I don't
I actually
know.
just saw an ad for a liquid IV thing that a doctor was advertising, and he was doing the pretzels are making me thirsty bit. He just kind of said it all these different ways, and then he got hooked up to his IV, and then he was eating pretzels and didn't get thirsty because he had a hydration thing.
See, and he's probably not
sounds
going to
great.
get sick because he's well hydrated. He's eating a delightful snack that's making him happy.
But by the way, I think the IV thing is like, right, in the spectrum, you have like, ginger and eating an extra orange for vitamin C, whole food options. Then you get into like the elderberries and the echinaceas, right? And then on the other end of the spectrum, you do have people who go and get an IV, which I don't know. I looked into, and Matt and I talked a little bit about it on a different episode, so I won't go on and on. But I just don't. I think that there's a very harmonious relationship between your gut and the way it filters things into the blood. I can't get there on the idea that you should put things directly into your vein unless you're in an acute an acute kind of like hospital type setting that really demands it. Like I'm not there. I almost did it the other week.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I can't get behind that either. I don't know. I think I'm on the spectrum of both going for the whole foods, but also like just kind of pumping my body with good stuff. I think I'm similar to Matt Tolman, that I start reaching for the fruits, the veggies, like just trying to inundate myself with vitamins as much as possible, drink tons of water. And I think movement is really important. And like whether that's getting outside for just a walk or a run or just like some yoga, stretching, but like to me, if you think about it, if you're moving your body around, that means everything's moving through you too. And for me, that makes me feel like I'm pushing the toxins out. I know Doug will love this. This is impossible for me to do, but it makes me feel like that's what I'm doing. So a little bit of movement, and then like fresh air and fresh sunshine, just getting out of whatever stuffy environment. I always feel stuffy when I'm inside, when I'm feeling sick. So just getting outside for a little bit of fresh air too. That's the least that I would do, or that's what I would do. Get outside, move around a little bit, maybe go for a little jog or a walk, and then just eat as much good stuff as I can. So veggies, fruit, whole foods. I am a big like garlic broth person. I can't really get on the whole ginger side. I like ginger.
What about fire, not fire water, but it's like fire cider. You know about that stuff? Doug probably does. It's an Asheville.
Oh yeah,
Fire
yeah, I
water?
know about that stuff.
What is
Fire
that?
water is what Native Americans
bourbon?
call alcohol, I think.
Bourbon?
Yeah, so it sounds like what is it?
Tequila?
Fireball is
Fireball.
No, we don't
Not fireball stuff.
That'll help your
All right, fire
kids
cider
sleep,
is
that's for
a
sure.
fiery tonic made with fresh horseradish, ginger, garlic, onions, cayenne pepper, apple cider vinegar,
Yes.
and honey. The one that my friend gave to my daughter when she was spending it at her house, she said did not have honey. I don't know what it had instead. Maybe just sugar. But yeah, I mean, I guess I could see that kind of working.
Right.
I just feel like by the
I
time
was
people
sick.
have that,
That
it's
sounds
just
so
too-
intense.
I said I was getting sick. My mom loves this stuff where she's like, it's like, oh, I just saw this article about this, like in the 1700s, they put honey and onions and let it sit overnight, and you eat that, and it's a cold cure. And I explained that, I wonder if it would work with agave or something that's not honey. I doubt it, because honey, is a very nutrient dense kind of magical superfood thing. I just don't want to eat it. So she tried it with agave, and it was like this fermented agave onion thing. And because I love my mom, I took a bite. I don't recommend it. But supposedly for 400 years, people have been using that, and it will, if you can get through it, it will cure your cold.
I'm partial to things that have been around for 400 years and are terrible like that, because if it has persisted, if that idea has stayed around that long and it's terrible,
It has to be
very
terrible.
likely it's a real thing. So that it actually works. So I like those
That's a good
things. I'd
point.
much sooner go with that than some modern marketing thing somebody dreams up.
But hold on. So here's one. Do you guys, I don't know why we've gravitated to like colds and flus. Like I interpreted this as the least you need to do to stay healthy, as in like staying healthy and vibrant and long living and not getting sick,
That's what I
sure.
thought too.
But you guys went straight to like, colds. So that's maybe we can have the other side of the conversation. But also, do you guys take any pharmaceutical drugs when you are sick? I mean, at what point, right? Because like obviously, if you have a 48-hour, 105-degree fever, Doug, like I imagine you took some fever reducing
Oh, yeah.
kind of painkiller type. I went I went like 8 years with never touching any of that stuff because I got so crazy about like, only Whole Foods can heal me kind of stuff. And like I didn't want any of the natural. I was just like, I don't know what this drug actually does to me. So like I'm not gonna take Dayquil. So do you guys do any of that?
I do. Yeah. And I have no problem with it. Those pharmaceutical drugs and things like that, like I don't want to take them very often, but if I'm sick and unable to sleep because I'm too congested, I think it's better for me to get the sleep and take NyQuil and get the sleep than keep my body from having, keep NyQuil out of my body. So, it takes me being pretty sick to do that, but I have no problem with it when I am.
Yeah, I'll do it for like targeted things. Like if I have to do something and I'm sick, then I would certainly take the whatever pill's going to lower my fever and make me feel better. But in general, I would think that fever serves a purpose. You don't want to get rid of it.
Yeah.
I guess there's a
Burn it
dangerous
off,
side of
baby.
it. Yeah, right. And I think that way of thinking used to be like crazy person talk, but people I think get that now, and I think that's good. I've had to take antibiotics twice, like once a year ago in the summer when I got sick for like a month, and then I don't know, 2016 I had to do the same thing. So it, I don't know. I think there comes a time, and I went to the doctor after like 3 weeks, and they're like, you know what, it's time. Like I get why you don't want to do that, but you need to do it now. So
did it work?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Antibiotics for sure. 2 for 2. It knocks it out.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I try my hardest to avoid them. And I used to be like a real firm believer in letting my body fight everything. And then I had children who, as we've talked about, just bring in all of this nonsense that you can't avoid sometimes. So I'm more open to them now. I agree kind of with you, Frazier. Like if I have to do something and need to be performing better, like in life, then I'll try it. But typically try to let my body do its thing because that's what our bodies are meant to do. They're meant to fight against and process the things that are in our systems.
Yeah, so I think to answer Matt Tolman's issue about he thought we were going to talk about long-term health kind of stuff. I mean, before this conversation, I was thinking that my approach is really the same to both, and maybe that kind of like guides it. That like I don't know that if it's good for long-term health, then it's probably also good for short-term health, and if it isn't good for long-term health, then I should question whether it's actually good for short-term health. So generally, they're the same thing for me. I'm sure there would be like differences if I would try to think about them, but. I don't know for sure. That's I don't know. I think it's another episode. But I don't think we should get into that today. It's the longer term least you need to do to kind of keep yourself fit and healthy and whatever. But we should do it. Wanted to say hi to some people here real quick. Vegan Stallion showed up. Vegan Stallion and Garuda. They've been butting heads a little bit in the morning show. They're both here in the same room. Civil. Garuda always likes to greet Isabel, which I like. I like that Garuda likes Isabel because Garuda's how would you describe Garuda? Outspoken sort of sometimes, seems to mix it up in the chat, gets people angry, but has a soft spot for Isabel. I like it. And Ellie the Puppet over on Twitch gets angry and thinks duct tape is duct tape, D-U-C-K instead of duct. So, not
close, not quite.
Concern there.
There's a difference.
There's a concern for the ducks.
And hello to Bianca, by the way. Bianca showed up. Of course, she makes her own fire cider. She's a Southern girl, and she does those sorts of things. But she doesn't use honey or sugar. No sweetness, just really spicy
vinegar.
That's what and the drink tastes like. Spicy vinegar. My daughter said, and she really liked it too.
Oh,
I'm gonna go make some of my own. Bianca, send me the recipe.
Do that. Send the recipe, Bianca. Send it over. Put it in the Discord. All right. Well, we're at I don't know, we've been 40 minutes or so. Anybody any last parting thoughts here on how to stay healthy? We didn't mention like something. I think Vegan Stallion mentioned zinc, says clinically proven to shorten the duration and severity of colds if you want to talk science. At what cost, though? I wonder. Is there some trade off that happens when you do that to shorten the duration and severity of your colds? I don't know. That's zinc lozenges, but we didn't mention nutritional yeast, which Dr. Greger has talked a lot about as a cold cure, and he's evidence based and all that. Maybe cherry picks a little bit here and there, but in this case, he found some good things that show nutritional yeast very helpful for preventing colds. So that's one that
like ongoing basis. You eat the nutritional yeast.
I don't know if it's ongoing or if it's sort of like when you sense it's coming on, which it feels like that's always just so too late. If
is it the fortified kind, B12? Because maybe it's the B12.
I mean, it's possible. Yeah, and I don't know if they would like control for that and make sure that the people weren't deficient in B12 to begin with, because obviously then it would help if it was giving you that. Elderberry, I've seen Dr. Furman say that there really is some evidence that it helps prevent illness. But again, I don't know how early. Like my wife will go running to the medicine cabinet and just start eating whatever there is when she's already sick. And I'm like, it's too late. It's not going to do anything now. And it sounds like Isabel's maybe the same way.
But hold on, is it? Is it not going to do anything now? Because it's an ongoing process of
should help
and fighting off bugs and virus, right?
I mean, maybe it helps a little bit, but the
virus shorten the time period of sickness,
less severe. What about silver water?
What about what?
Silver water or something like that?
What is silver water?
That's tequila.
Yes.
All of these sound like great alcohol brand names.
Colloidal silver, Doug?
Silver water.
Yeah. Silver liquid.
I don't know. I don't like the idea of putting metals in my body. It scares me. I mean,
is it actual silver?
And zinc is good for. I think so. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
How about the lithium?
Made of tiny silver bits that float in a liquid. I mean, your body uses metals and minerals and things, so it's not crazy. But I don't know about introducing more.
Lithium. Has anyone looked into lithium treatment? There's some wild new science about that. I'm not even kidding. Yeah, we all associate lithium as batteries, but go Google it. Health benefits of lithium, and there's a wild. I'm not endorsing, but Vegan Stallion does believe there's beta glucans in the yeast. So interesting. Hey, I was shit talking Dayquil, and the way Doug reacted kind of reminded me of that. What's that movie where Will Smith is like sipping on his
That's
Benadryl?
Hitch,
Like
isn't
this is Matt.
I mean, look,
is that
like? I think that's Hitch.
I taken Benadryl, right? Like, there's nothing wrong when your face is all swollen to take a little.
I can picture Doug just sitting there with a straw, sipping on Dayquil to get through the day. The other thing I was going to add is, Isabel, you mentioned the kids bring in all this stuff, but being a parent and having a cold is a totally different scenario. I think one of the reasons why I went without any sort of drugs for a long, long time was because, if I got a cold, I would just lay in bed, right? And, you can get a modicum of work done from bed if you're fortunate enough to have a remote work situation. And you doze off and you sleep and you're better within a day or two, right? No problem. But if you have kids and you've got to get them to school and pack lunches and make them dinner and they're still up and they're crying and they're stuffy and they're waking up at night, God, yeah, taking some drugs,
right?
Not a bad idea.
Yep. Once you get hit in the mouth, all plans are good until you get punched in the mouth. Mike Tyson said, and that's what happens.
Until your kids get sick.
All right. Yeah. Before we wrap up, so megadoses of vitamin C. We're using nutritional yeast. Let's see, what else did we talk about?
Suppositories.
Activated charcoal. We didn't talk about that one.
Activated charcoal. Yeah. What's the purple stuff that we talked about?
Purple drink?
Robitussin?
No, the natural
purple. Oh, elderberry?
Elderberry. So if let's say you take that all the time to prevent, during cold season, flu season, to try to prevent yourself from getting sick, don't you think your body just adjusts to that much of those things and therefore changes the baseline? So if you stop it, then
100%, I think so.
Then you're more likely to get sick. I don't know. I've always thought that.
Does your body adjust to a healthy plant-based diet and then it's no longer healthy for you anymore?
Yeah. Exactly. No, you have to get more healthy. That's why we all start
That's right.
as like junk food vegans, and then we like gradually start getting healthier and healthier and healthier.
Okay, you have to.
So what you're proposing, Matt, is that we should go on like a cyclical thing where like you're fruitarian and you're like raw veggie only, and then like you're junk food vegan, and then you go back to like whole food plant based, and then you go
I've done this.
vegetarian.
They've all been
You
30-day
keep
calendars.
your body
Keep it
your
guessing.
body guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
man.
Right.
It's kind of like fasting.
It's like the workout. It's like the workout, you know, like you gotta keep doing different stuff to keep your muscles reacting. Makes sense.
I mean, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know what it is
have
about
we
cold
solved
prevention and shortening that
today?
suddenly like everyone like has these wacky ideas and it's acceptable that everyone has all these totally like non-scientific thoughts.
Matt,
there's
have you
no
been living in
science
a cave?
spoken here today. I
It
don't.
applies to all areas of life. Everyone
I
has
guess
wacky ideas across
You're right.
the board. Has nothing
You're
to
right.
do with colds. In fact, I'm excited for next week's topic of religion. That should be a lot of.
That's not going to be next
No,
week's topic.
No.
That's a joke, everyone. Not real.
Politics.
Christ
The only way
Spears is
we're
coming out.
the
You
only
guys heard about that?
I know the producer.
Yeah.
What was that, Matt?
I think we all know.
Christ Spears, I said, on the topic of
Oh,
religion.
conspiracy. Yeah.
On the topic of plant-based religion intersection. It should be good. I'm looking forward to that one, actually. All right. Anyone got anything else?
Well, we're gonna get
Or should we
canceled.
turn it off?
According to this liquid silver website,
Mhm.
it oh no, I lost it. All right, it's an effective antimicrobial that kills many pathogens.
Oh, okay.
It helps back up the normal immune system function and protects the body against
Hey.
invading pathogens. There you go.
You know, we all fancy ourselves, you know, kind of something of experts in nutrition and health and wellness, and yet none of us brought up water.
Mm.
Water has to probably. Did you? Isabel?
Yeah,
Sorry.
I talked about drinking
Uh,
lots of water. Please.
Yeah, Vegan Stallion said hydration.
Okay,
After
but
Isabel
not-
said it.
Hydration
But
super
not with
important.
not with the primacy I think that it probably deserves. And I forgot to mention that because I wasn't really on the cold and flu remedy when I was offering my very science-based, the least you need to do to stay healthy. My answer I still stand by. But I'm a
Yeah,
big fan
Herman.
of like electrolytes, apple cider vinegar, and a ton of water, like big jugs of that mixed together. Like I'll use one of those tablets. I don't use them frequently.
Noon.
Anyway, one of
Noon.
those electrolyte tablets. Yeah.
Immune immunity.
But I'll put like one of those in like a half-gallon jug, right? And so like it's just, you know, just a little bit, and then like a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and I'll drink, you know, probably 2-3 gallons a day of water when I'm sick. I think it works.
Yeah, I mean, surely we should have said hydration. It may be the most important thing of all these things. I don't know about the electrolytes and the vinegar, if that's needed, or is that just adds to the story in your head, the placebo effect?
Some
Maybe.
placebo effect, probably.
Yeah, I mean, and electrolytes in general. You hear some experts say you have to have that in water if you're not having it with food, or your body's just not going to use that water. It'll basically pass right through you. But then you end up buying Element and putting 1,000 milligrams of salt in your water, and it's like I'm not gonna. That can't be better. So I don't know what to do with electrolytes, but that's for another episode.
Whole nother topic. Yep.
I think the best approach is, you know, what I try to do is gather my own water by nearby streams. And that way you're getting a natural structured water
Right.
moving
Something you
from
can
the
do.
source, plus the most natural, you know, composition in terms of dirt, which has B12, amongst other, you know, vitamins and minerals.
Right, gives you some
Naturally
exposure to bacteria, a little bit here and there.
Right.
So
Yep.
you're not.
Yep.
There's a
Like
spring
big
about 10 minutes away from us that's right on the continental divide, and people travel hours to go and fill up their jugs and bring like carloads full of jugs to fill up, and that's the only water they drink because they believe in the power.
That's not the one that you and your friends strip down and get into after your run. is it?
Definitely is.
No,
Same one.
no, we're upstream from that. So,
Downstream.
but
All right.
it's wild. But
That's
people
good.
Yeah,
That's a good way to end.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks everyone for coming, listening live, attending, and listening on the podcast, of course. If you are here live, Outlier Health Podcast is the place to get the Plant-Based Morning Show and the Outlier Health Podcast now. So get over to that on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Otherwise, just keep showing up when you see that notification that we're going live, because this is good. So thanks everyone for a good conversation, and we're
doing it live. Check out the video clip.
We're doing it live. Okay,
doing it live.
I'm
Goodbye.
sharing the screen. I want to enjoy this with you. Hold on. How do you share the
It's
screen?
a dangerous game.
We're gonna keep this on. You're not leaving it. Okay.
See, but this is what happened. I lost you guys.
We should have stopped when we said we were done.
Yeah, we should have. Great ending.
I'm gonna edit
Oh,
out that
you didn't
part.
turn it off?
All right.
No.
No, we're still live.
Your
Still
last
live?
like.
Bye, everybody.
No,
All right.
not
Bye. We're